Well, ladies and gentlemen, it happened. It finally happened. The Atlanta Falcons are trading Julio Jones. Yes, I said it. They're trading Julio Jones. Now, obviously, if you're not living under a rock, or if you just looked at the title and the thumbnail, you know where he got traded, but you might not know what he got traded for. So let's get into it. Julio Jones was dealt yesterday to the Tennessee Titans for a 2022 second round pick and a 2023 fourth round pick. That's what the Titans gave up. 2 draft picks, one from next year and one from the year after. And the Titans get back, obviously, Julio Jones, but they also managed to get a 6th round pick in 2023. So, is it a win-win situation for both teams? I don't know. It's probably more of a win situation for the Titans. The Titans do, on the negative side, they do have to pay Julio's remaining money on his contract, including the $15.3 that he's going to be making this season, plus the rest of the money that's on his contract for the rest of the deal. So they do have to get that on their books, which isn't the best. He is getting paid pretty heavily, but he's worth it because he's a very, very talented future Hall of Fame wide receiver. The Falcons do have about $7 to $8 million in dead money that they have to eat, but that's manageable, especially for a multi-billion-dollar team like the Falcons. So they can manage around $7 to $8 million of dead money. That's not that bad. But getting into the specifics of this trade, the Falcons get rid of a guy that was kind of a malcontent in the later part of this deal. He didn't really want to be a Falcon anymore. He said he wanted to play for a winner. He said he wanted to play for a quarterback that had a huge arm. Ryan Tannehill has a pretty decent arm, and the Titans were already a decent playoff contender before Julio got there. Now that Julio's there, they are even better, obviously. So they go from having a chance at the AFC Championship game to maybe contending with the Kansas City Chiefs, let alone contending with the Buffalo Bills and contending with the Buccaneers on the NFC side. So the Titans really made a big move here. And yes, I understand that their cap is going to be very, very tricky to work with because they've got a lot of people on some pretty big contracts. They're not going to be able to work with it. But as a lot of the people in the business say, if an NFL team wants to get somebody and they want to make it work, they're going to make it work. They're going to find the money somewhere. It's just going to happen. So an NFL team's never going to struggle for money. So don't really worry about the Titans because they have to pay Julio's entire contract. They're going to find the money. They're going to be fine. Okay, they're going to get sponsorship deals. They're going to get ads. They're going to get the money somehow to be able to pay all these salaries, and they're going to be able to pay this entire cap. So they're going to be, yes, they're up against the wall, but they're going to be able to, they'll be fine. They'll be able to pay it. But let's think big picture here. Let's think next season, what does this move do for the Tennessee Titans? I had them in the playoffs for next season. But before this Julio trade, I have them losing probably in the divisional round. Now, depending on who gets there, depending on the seeding, if it's Buffalo, if it's Kansas City, if it's another team in the conference, whether it be the Browns or the Ravens or any team, the Colts could even get up there with Carson Wentz, who knows? But whether it be any one of those teams, the seeding kind of matters. But the Titans now with Julio jump into that top tier of the AFC, even more so than what they already were. They go from probably being around that 3rd to 4th best team in the AFC, probably more towards the 3rd, to probably being that 2nd to maybe even being the best team in the AFC. Now, you can't really say that for a guarantee because Kansas City does have Patrick Mahomes, who is quote unquote the best quarterback in the league right now. So you can't really say the Titans are now better than Kansas City because Kansas City has Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes, even though I don't really like him that much as a football player, I can understand and I can respect his game. So Tannehill doesn't really stack up to that. So even though Tannehill has Derrick Henry as A.J. Brown, he has now Julio Jones, he has some pretty decent weapons underneath those guys. They've got a solid defense. Can they get it done? I think they could beat Buffalo, but I still don't think that they could beat Kansas City. Kansas City's defense is a little spotty, just a tiny bit spotty, but they've really worked on that offensive line in the offseason. They've given Patrick Mahomes more confidence, even more so than what they already had. And so Kansas City's really that team to beat. And I know people hate hearing that, but Kansas City is that team to beat. And so can Tennessee do it? They've done it before in the regular season. Yes, it was like on a last-second game-winning field goal, but they have beaten Kansas City before. So could they do it in the playoffs now that they have Julio? Who knows? Who really knows what's going to happen in the playoffs? It's one game. Anything can happen. Nobody really ever knows what's going to happen, obviously. So who am I to predict what's going to happen in January and late December for what's going to happen in the playoffs? I don't know. I think this Julio trade is very good for the Titans. It's good for both teams. It gives the Falcons the opportunity to start the rebuild. It opens that door. It kind of cements the fact that they are going to go through a rebuild. Yes, they still have Matt Ryan under contract, but they couldn't. If they didn't have such a big cap hit for Matt Ryan, I guarantee you they would have moved on from him this year and drafted a quarterback. But they're going to keep with Matt Ryan, even though he says that he's still got a couple years left of good football in him. I don't know if he really does. We're going to find out this season. So they have Kyle Pitts. They have Calvin Ridley. They've got a decent defense. They've got some nice pieces to build around. They just need to find a younger quarterback. And so they're starting their rebuild. The Titans getting Julio are ready to win now. They're in their win now window. And I think they have a good opportunity to win now. The only problem is Kansas City. It is the big bully of the AFC. They've got to get through Kansas City. They even got to get through Buffalo at this point. Even Baltimore, they got to get through Baltimore. They got to get through Cleveland. They got to get through all these AFC teams. The AFC is pretty tough. A lot of people don't really think about it, but the AFC is a lot tougher than it used to be. Yes, some of the mainstays like the Steelers and the Patriots kind of fell off a little bit. Patriots might be coming back this year. I don't know. Just saying. But a lot of the names you're familiar with may have fallen back and taken a step back just slightly. But there's still a lot of teams that have taken that next step up, like the teams I mentioned, like the Ravens and the Browns and the Chiefs and the Bills and all those teams. And the Chiefs obviously have been there for a few years. So the Titans getting Julio definitely helps them right now, which is an obvious statement. I know that, but I don't think it gets them past Kansas City. Now, I may be eating crow in January when they're headed to the Super Bowl after beating Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. Who knows? But as of right now, sitting here in early June, I think that this helps them get to the AFC Championship game. I think it helps them get past Baltimore and Cleveland and Buffalo and all these teams in the AFC. But I think that's where it stops. I don't think they can get past Kansas City. So I do think it's a good deal. I think it's a great trade. It helps out both teams. It opens the door for the rebuild for the Falcons, like I said, and it helps the Titans get more focused on the here and now, on the window that they are in to win a Super Bowl. So Tannehill is one of those guys that is a manager. He can win you games, but he's also is not going to really lose you games. So he can control the momentum. He can do all this stuff. He's a decent quarterback. He's a game manager, and he can get the ball down the field to Julio. He's got a decent enough arm to get the ball down to Julio and get the ball to A.J. Brown and get the ball to all these guys that they have. Derrick Henry, just let Derrick Henry run the offense, basically, is what you got to do. And then give it to Julio and A.J. Brown. That's all you really got to do. So I think that the AFC Championship game next year is Tennessee versus Kansas City, but I think Kansas City pulls it out, and they head to the Super Bowl for, the third straight year, I think? Something like that. So Yeah, that's what I think. Let me know down below what you guys think as well. If you think this is a W for the Titans, if you think it's a W for the Falcons, or if you think it's a W for nobody. You think it's an L. Is somebody taking an L? I don't know. Let me know down below what you guys think. Smash that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Join the Juice Club, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.